Today is July 6th, 2025, and Texas is underwater. Torrential rain, raging rivers, families stranded, children missing. A deadly flood crisis is sweeping through central Texas, and what's happening right now may not just be a regional disaster. It may be a warning to the entire world. Because this isn't just about one storm, it's about a climate system breaking down before our eyes. And this is the story of how it unfolded, what caused it, who's suffering the most, and what it means for all of us in the years ahead. The trouble began quietly. A slow-moving system crept across the Gulf of Mexico late last week, dragging massive amounts of warm, moisture-heavy air straight into the heart of Texas. As it hit the hill country, the central region that includes Austin, San Antonio, and smaller towns like Hunt and Kerrville, the skies opened up. Over 20 inches of rain fell in less than 72 hours. Entire rivers overflowed, low-lying roads turned into rivers, basements flooded in minutes. And then came the flash floods. In the early hours of July 5th, multiple counties, including Kerr, Llano, and Gillespie, were placed under emergency flood warnings. Officials described it as a 500-year flood event, meaning it had just as a 0.2% chance of occurring in any given year. But it happened. And this time, people were in the water. One of the most heartbreaking stories is unfolding at Camp Mystic, a historic all-girls summer camp nestled beside the South Fork of the Guadalupe River in Hunt, Texas. On Friday morning, as floodwaters surged without warning, camp officials began evacuating. But it was too late. Several young girls were swept away by the rising river before they could reach safety. As of now, 2 girls are still missing. Search and rescue teams, including divers, drones, boats, helicopters, and K9 units, are scouring the muddy water, clinging to hope. The families are devastated. Local officials have described the conditions as dangerous and heartbreaking. The river changed course. Trees snapped like twigs. Entire cabins were swallowed by water in minutes. This wasn't just a summer storm. It was a full-blown climate catastrophe. And it wasn't just Camp Mystic. In San Antonio, residents reported flooding in more than 1,000 homes. In Austin, dozens of major roads were shut down, with vehicles floating down the street like toy boats. Emergency crews have rescued over 250 people across the region, some by boat, others by helicopter, many clinging to rooftops or trees. The city of New Braunfels declared a local disaster after multiple levees were breached. Bridges collapsed, farms were wiped out, hospitals ran on backup generators. Entire communities, especially rural ones, have been cut off from food, clean water, and emergency services. As Governor Greg Abbott put it, this is one of the worst flooding disasters Texas has seen in decades. But why did this storm hit so hard? And why now? According to climate scientists, this disaster was amplified by global warming. Here's how it works. Warmer air holds more moisture. More moisture means heavier rainfall. The Gulf of Mexico, the storm's water source, is currently warmer than it's ever been in recorded history. That warmth supercharged the system, turning an ordinary storm into a slow-moving water bomb. The result? Flooding levels we used to see once in a century, now happening every 5 to 10 years. The Guardian reports that Texas has experienced 4 major once-in-a-century rainfall events in the past decade alone. And it's not just Texas. Across the US, floods, wildfires, and heat waves are breaking records year after year. This isn't normal weather. This is the climate crisis in real time. The economic impact of this flood is still unfolding, but early projections are grim. Damage to homes, vehicles, infrastructure, and crops could easily exceed $500 million, possibly more. Bridges and highways will need full reconstruction. Thousands of homeowners are discovering they don't have flood insurance, especially those in areas not previously designated as high risk. Local economies, tourism, agriculture, and small businesses are taking a direct hit. And insurance companies are bracing for a wave of claims that could rival Hurricane Harvey in 2017. The reality? Disasters like this don't just destroy buildings, they destroy livelihoods, savings, and peace of mind. As of today, floodwaters are slowly beginning to recede, but danger remains. Meteorologists warn that more storms are possible this week, and the saturated ground means even small rains could trigger landslides and renewed flooding. Rivers like the Guadalupe and Blanco remain above flood stage and could take days to stabilize. Emergency shelters are overflowing. Power outages continue. The search for the missing girls at Camp Mystic will continue around the clock. And as always, the poorest communities are suffering the most. Many residents lack the resources to evacuate or rebuild. The long-term recovery could take months, even years. The Texas floods of 2025 will be remembered as one of the state's most devastating natural disasters. But more than that, it may be remembered as a turning point, a wake-up call. That climate change is not a distant threat. It is here. It is happening. And if we don't adapt, if we don't act, floods like this won't be rare. They'll be routine. Our infrastructure isn't ready. Our emergency systems are strained. Our politics remain divided. But nature doesn't wait for legislation. In the end, this story isn't just about rainfall totals or climate graphs. It's about families who lost everything in a night. About young girls who never made it back from camp. About firefighters risking their lives to pull strangers from raging waters. And about a state, a nation, waking up to a new reality. The road to recovery will be long, but the lesson is clear. We must prepare, we must protect, and we must never forget what happens when the rain doesn't stop. This has been your in-depth documentary on the 2025 Texas floods. Stay safe, stay informed, and let's build a future that can weather the storms ahead.